you're going to need double knit yarn in 2 different colours, one for the main part and one for the accent. This was a 100-gram ball and there's quite a bit left as well, so I would say probably maybe 50 to 70 grams of yarn, and a very small amount of the second colour is needed. If you want to use a template, you can just use a piece of cardboard, and I just use that to do my chain stitch around, just to make them the right size, make them the same size as each other. I also used a darning needle and also used a crochet hook. The one that I used is 3.5mm, a Sentro 48 pin circular knitting machine or equivalent. First we'll have to see the white needle here, turn that till we get to that one, keep that at 0. Right, so we're going to thread some waste yarn. We're going to go round, behind, round, behind, round, behind, all the way until we get back to the white peg, which is the start. And get back to the start. I'm going to slide that into the yarn guide, and then we're going to, I'm just going to slick that under there, and then we're going to make sure it goes under that one as well, so it should get caught by this. You make sure it's pulled right down in this bit here as well, and then we're going to thread this through the mid tension guide and set that back to 0. I'm just going to do maybe 3 or 4 rows of waste yarn. Don't need loads. So I'm just going to cut off the waste yarn. I'm just going to put that into the middle. I'm going to hook it around that one just to keep it in place. Then I'm going to take my main colour of yarn and I'm going to hook it around that white one. I'm going to make sure it slides into that, and again through the middle. I'm just going to hold on to these 2 while I do the first couple of stitches to hold it down. I'm going to reset that again, and I'm going to do 50 rows in the main yarn. So as it's pulled down here, just pull that nice and tight, make sure it's snug and make sure it's all sat correctly, and then we can just carry on. So this will be the first row. That's 2. I'm going to do this all the way to 50. So I'm going to put the hand on top because it moves around a little bit. To get a bit that sticks like that, just make sure it's pushed down, and we'll make sure that bit pushes down. So just be careful that that is going to, yeah, that's sat nicely. So occasionally it catches, you just have to make sure you push it back. On the last row, once we get back to the start, we just chop the tail off. Then we're just going to put that into the middle, and like we did previously with the main yarn, I'm going to get the waste yarn and push this into place. So hook it around that one and then through, like I did with the previous yarns. Make sure you get it completely in that slot and put it securely, otherwise it won't knit. So we're just going to carefully make sure that one hasn't picked up. Right, so make sure they all get picked up, and then once it's, I'm just going to do maybe 3 rows in the waste yarn again. And then we're just going to cut that off again. And we'll unthread this and stick it in the middle again. And as we turn the handle, we'll go back to the start, and that unhooks it from all of the hooks. And then as you go around the second time, it should just drop off, as long as any haven't got caught, but it doesn't look like they have. And then that is the work released from the machine. Once we've got the work, it looks like this. You can see it's a lot more stretched out than this one. So what I do is, you want to shrink it down a bit, so I just kind of scrunch it up, and I find by just squeezing it into a ball and just manipulating the shape a little bit helps it just tighten up in those where it's been stretched out. It helps it sit at a more even finish. So that's the tube. We just unravel that so you can see it's sitting a bit nicer already. So the stitches look very similar to the finished one now. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to seal both ends of this tube, and we're going to use the tube doubled over to make the glove. So the first thing we're going to do is seal up the ends. As you can see, I've done that here. And to do that, we're just going to, don't need the needle yet, I'm going to take a crochet hook. I'm just using a 3.5mm hook. We take the seam and we just fold it where these are completed. We're just going to work our way across. You can see where the different colour is. These top stitches are the ones we're going to be picking up. So I'm just going to roll it together to make sure it's all even, all the way to the left hand side. So that stitch there I'm going to start with. And then from here, I'm going to just work my way up and down on those last stitches, just pulling it through like that. Just go into that one up there, put it through. The main thing to be careful of is that you are picking up every stitch and you're not missing any, as you'll end up with holes in your work. So that's the next one. And you can count them if you like, if you know how many needles your machine has got. That's quite helpful. Or you can just take a bit of care and make sure you're picking up all the loops at the ends. So we get to the end now. We just need to be careful to pick up all those last stitches. There should be one more, I think. Over there. Pick up that last one, and then using the tail of the yarn from the main body, we just hook that over and pull it through, and then pull that loop all the way through to secure. So then we've got the waste yarn, but we've also got the main part secure. So then we're just going to remove the waste yarn from the now sealed panel. So now we've got sealed panel at both ends. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to fold the sides in, and we are going to sew a seam up the centre. Now we want to put a thumb hole a little way down, so I'm going to use this one for reference. So we can line up where the thumb holes start. So there's one, and then it finishes around there. So I'll just use those as markers. And then we're going to take some yarn. I'm just going to start back a little bit just to work my way in so I can secure the yarn. It doesn't mean that I can pull it quite tight. For the stitches, we'll tuck that tail away later. So I'm just going to come out all the way in the corner. A little knot that's formed. Let's just undo that. There we go. Sometimes it's easier to get rid of your tails first, but I'm going to just carry on. So we need to attach both these sides together. So we're going to look for, just going to come out of here and go up to that bottom horizontal one there. And we're going to work our way backwards and forwards between the two horizontal bars. So the next one's there. I'm just going to loosely do this bit for the time being, just while I'm placing the stitches. Oops, twisted that up, so we'll pull that round. And just keep working our way up. It does take a little bit of time, but you want to be picking up all of those stitches. Oh, I might do that one again. Right, so now we're at that first pin. I'm going to secure it back on itself so we can put it nice and tight. So before that is completely tightened, I'm going to pull that in. And we're just going to stitch it. And we're just going to push this into the work, and I'm just going to work it up to the second pin placement. I'm going to come out at that second pin as well. And then I am going to secure it around that pin so that it doesn't pull that bit too tight as well. So we'll take the pin out now. Just secure that. with a little slip knot. Try and keep my hand that way so you can see. So then we're going to continue to work the V shapes just for the last little bit, backwards and forwards. When we get to the end, we're just going to secure that. I'm going to pull that tight for that last little bit. Just going to go back, do an extra couple of stitches at the top to secure it, as it's not a very big area. It will get quite a bit of tension on it. I'm just going to tie it off. A little slip knot onto one side before I lose the tail into the work. I didn't lose the tail. I'm just going to trim that like that. So just going to even out those stitches so that it's hidden seam as much as possible. So then we're going to take a crochet hook again, and I'm just going to work the tail through a few stitches. So I'm just going to go up and down a couple of different patches just to loose that tail. So then this is going to be the right hand side glove, and that's the glove on, and we're ready for the final part. So I'm going to take my template, I'm just going to put that there, and I'm going to lay this on top just to try and get it in the right place. It's not exact, but it's close enough for what I'm using it for. I'm just going to pin that in place. So using some pink yarn. So the first thing I need to do is just secure some stitches. I'm going to start a little way up here, so I'm just going to stitch here, and I'm going to go around this one a couple of times just to secure it. I'm going to go through itself as well, just to give it a little slip knot to secure, and we'll come back and lose that tail in a bit. So now we've got that, I'm going to start this side, and we're going to chain stitch. So we're going to insert the yarn next to where it's coming out from and up a little way away, And as we pull it through, watch that tail, make sure that this thread isn't twisted, and we're going to insert the needle into the top of it and pull it tight to create a little chain stitch. And then again, insert into the base of the chain right next to where it's coming out, go across, then back up. Pull the stitches as it's getting to the end, just pull that through and put it through. Now I'm not working through both sides of this, I am working just through the top layer, so the back side will be secure inside the tube and it won't irritate the back of your hand. So I'm just going to carry on this chain stitch all the way around the edge of this heart shape,